Hey, good morning, everybody. Robert Phoenix, and we are live. Thanks for being patient this morning. Fix my collar here. Thanks for being patient this morning. I had a client that I had to work with all the way from China. It's one of those early morning deals. So it took me a while to get on board today. And we're just going to do kind of a follow up from yesterday's show. There seems to be, by the way, there was a very spirited show that we had yesterday. It was quite good, I thought, and a lot of interactivity. And I got into some interesting subjects and topics that were, I think, mightily addressable, as they say. So the title of today's show is "That the End is Near." Hey, good morning, Maury. Um, the end is near. And what I mean by that is that the end of the Kavanaugh Blassie event is coming to an end. It is winding down. I believe yesterday, perhaps today, is the good morning, FFUP. Hey, what's going on, Lynn? Today is or yesterday slash today is the end of the investigation that the FBI is taking care of theoretically, even though, of course, they know everything there is to know about Kavanaugh already. How did everybody deal with that presidential alert yesterday? John McAfee has something very interesting to say about that presidential alert. Let me see if I can find it here. This is what he said. This is from a Twitter post. And I don't think this is going to be the last one. We're going to have more of these. So this is what McAfee says. He says the presidential alerts, they are capable of accessing the E911 chip in your phones. Give them full access to your location, microphone, camera, and every function of your phone. This is not a rant. This is from me, still one of the leading cybersecurity experts. Wake up, people. Tyreek's index finger asks him, "Is there any way of disabling it?" And McAfee says, "No, sir." Then he says, "In honor of the presidential election in which I will be a candidate, I decided to please all my readers. I'm giving 1,000 Bitcoins to all my readers. I decided to make the biggest crypto giveaway in the world." About that. Left Bitcoin. So if you go to McAfee, you can get his Bitcoins. I'm not sure what they're worth, but it was interesting. It's called the E911 chip. Meanwhile, David Hogg and Michael Moore have come out together, standing together, and they are not having these presidential alerts. No sirree. Look, I'm kind of in agreement with them. If McAfee is correct and it accesses the E911 chip in the phones, gives them full access to the location, microphone, camera, you name it. Boom. There you go. E911 chip. Isn't that interesting? And there's no way that you can stop it, according to Mr. McAfee. So I was actually doing a reading with somebody when that happened. I was on the phone with them. And there it was. Intrusive. Edward Snowden said not to be online yesterday when that was going to happen. That was his advice. I think his was more dire than McAfee's in some ways. Hey, by the way, today is National Taco Day. Some of you might know that. If you like a good taco, well, I suggest you come to Texas. Texas is the capital of the taco. The best tacos here, I'd have to say. California is the land of the burrito. Since I stopped basically eating wheat, uh, I've had to say goodbye to the burrito. The burrito is an amazing thing. I remember the first time I had a super burrito. You know, the super burrito, right? The shell casings, right? You know, the big foil burritos. First time I had one of those, I was, I think, around 19 years old, and my girlfriend was from Nicaragua, and I went with her mother and her grandmother to this place in the Mission. I'd never been into the Mission in San Francisco before, and we went to this place called El Super Burrito. It was one of the first kinds of big burrito joints in the Mission. And I ordered this burrito, and it was it fried the circuitry in my head. Then on top of that, I had horchata, which I'd never had before. So man, it was a big day for my digestive and central nervous system in a good way. And when he said, "Do you want jalapenos on there?" I said, "Yes." It was all next level after that. So today is National Taco Day, though, and there are ways that you can get free tacos. So if you're interested in free tacos out there in the world, you may want to Google it. Check it out. Uh, so this is my new hobby. Of course, I like to go to Yahoo, state sponsored, run by Google, and there's always one headline on Yahoo that reaffirms the fact that white people are racist. And here's the latest. Pretty close to the top. See if we can find this thing. It's right at the top. Let me see. What's right here? There's Michael Moore, David Hogg, Rip Trump's presidential alert, resist. Get used to David Hogg being around. David Hogg is not going anywhere. Here you go. Everywhere you can get free tacos on National Taco Day. Deals at Taco Bell, Del Taco, and more. If you want some nice processed Mexican food, there you go. Man tells black grandmother campaigning for Beto O'Rourke to go back where you came from. Well, it's like every day Yahoo's got some kind of divisive headline about race relations. Happens every single day. I come back here tomorrow. I'll pull up Yahoo. I guarantee you there'll be one headline that says, "White man bad." And there's actually pretty derogatory stuff around. I wasn't derogatory, but men in general, by the way. Let's see. Is there anything else on the headline front that we need to be aware of? I don't really think so. So let's see. I'm just reading more about the presidential alert. I want to spend a little more time with it. So some other headlines that are worth tracking. Obviously from the Blasey Ford and Kavanaugh front. We talked a great deal about this yesterday. And covered a lot of ground. It looks like the vote is going forward. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens in terms of the vote. I have a feeling that he's probably going to be confirmed. And it's interesting that they're actually winding down, and they're not actually expanding this. And I think for better or worse, people want to just get on with their lives. That's what it feels like. For better or worse, it's like, come on, let's move on. Let's get this major distraction out of the way. And, let's let the process take. And I'm actually in favor of letting the process take care of itself. Is Brett Kavanaugh going to be a Supreme Court pariah? Is he going to be any better or worse than Elena Kagan, who's never adjudicated a case in her life? I mean, that always blew me away about Elena Kagan. She'd never adjudicated a case in her life. She never ruled on anything. She never served on any court. She taught law. That was it. At least Sotomayor was an actual judge. Kagan was never a judge. I had to scratch my head at that. So we'll see what happens. And I think he's probably going to get confirmed. And if he does get confirmed, it'll be, of course, kicking and screaming. There'll be more protesters. The sort of the left arm of the revolution will get involved and try to assert itself, as it's been since November 2016, and even before, when they started to come online and do their thing. And at that time, of course, it was the big group was BLM, Black Lives Matter, which are nowhere to be found now. And we've talked about this in great length and great detail. Some interesting things happened over the past few days. Some ricin had been sent to Trump and the Pentagon. Letters sent to Mattis, Mad Dog Mattis, were tested positive for ricin. Ricin is a white powder that is, I think it's a cousin of like botulism, and you can be hospitalized for it. This is what happened right after 9/11 happened. Remember that? These envelopes with white powder got sent to the White House, which I think was a ruse and a false flag. That's my 2 cents. Here's something really weird that we just had Hurricane Florence, correct? Well, there was a shootout in Florence, South Carolina. This is a brief headline here. This was from yesterday. One suspect is in custody, and a Florence police officer is deceased after 8 people, 7 of which were law enforcement officers, were shot in Florence Wednesday evening. That's a big shootout. You get 7 guys going down in the line of fire. That's a big deal. Florence County emergency management officials said on Facebook around 6 p.m. that a suspect is in custody and the active shooting is over. See, that's probably a very real shooting, right? Officials are asking people to stay away from the area as there is still an active crime investigation in progress. That's really weird, don't you think? That we just had this Hurricane Florence, and now we have 7 law enforcement officers down. Police officer deceased after 7 law enforcement, 1 other shot in Florence. Interesting. Very interesting. The tangled web that we weave on a political level gets thicker. Here's the headline. GOP doxing suspect arrested, worked or interned for Feinstein, Jackson Lee, other Dems. The GOP doxing suspect arrested, worked, or interned for Feinstein, Jackson, or other Dems. Here we go. A Democratic congressional intern was arrested Wednesday and accused of posting personal information of at least 1 Republican senator during last week's hearing about sexual assault claims against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. Authorities said yesterday, U.S. Capitol Police said 27-year-old Jackson Costco, not Costco, but Costco, was charged with making public restricted, personal, information, witness tampering threats, and interstate communication, unauthorized access of government computer, identity theft, second-degree burglary, and unlawful entry. Police added that the investigation was continuing and more charges could be filed. Well, does it really surprise you that there's connections to Feinstein and Jackson Lee? There are operatives all over the government. The deep state is real, folks. It is not some kind of made up phenomena. It is a real entity. And what's happened is that it's been infiltrated, right? And it's been the government has been infiltrated for decades. I mean, there have been communists inside the government for decades, going back to the 1930s. You know, the communists began to infiltrate and get government positions. Some of them high ranking, some of them less high ranking, but communists nonetheless. It's been going on for years. Now the infiltration is, it's like, if here's what I think. I think if you looked at, really looked at what's gone on, like if you could take the equivalent of like a CAT scan of the government and the people that work inside the government, what you would see in terms of their influences, political influences, would probably blow your mind. Like if you could do a color flow chart of who these people are that work in low-level, mid-level positions, it'd blow your mind. So this person would be connected to the Democratic Party or CPUSA, or they might be connected to the LGBTQ thing, or they may be connected to AIPAC and neocon relationships. And if you just look at it and go, holy shit. Like, no wonder the government is kind of so effed up. You know, you get a lot of military helicopters lately here. You can hear one going over right now. Anyway, the government itself, the structure, of course, is fallible. But then you look down into its particular parts. It's like there's no unanimity. There's no unanimity at all. You've got a bunch of people working on a lot of cross purposes. Probably in the Obama administration, you probably had more people working cohesively towards one goal at that point in time than there are now. So this is just a little brief snippet, a tiny, tiny, tiny snippet about how people are embedded in doing the dirty work for people like Feinstein and Jackson. And I'm sure they have their version of it over on the right, the Republican side. But as we looked at yesterday, the Democrats and the progressives tend to be activists, while the Republicans tend to be inactivists. I think we pretty much determined that yesterday. What other interesting headlines do we have here? Let's see what we have. The ongoing love affair between Kim and Trump is still taking place. What else do we have here? You know, they found an object beyond Pluto, and it's about the size of Neptune. It puts it in a trans-Plutonian category. Let's read this. Let's get into this today. This is from the website Soren Dreyer, which I like. It's a pretty good website. So this is by Soren Dreyer, posted. The author is Ng, N-G. It says, the solar system's retinue of known faraway worlds has gained another member, a small, icy body that takes 40,000 years to plod once around the sun, traveling farther away from our home star than all known solar system objects, except for comets. The last time, 2015, TG387 was anywhere within whispering distance of the sun, mammoths and cave bears trampled Eurasian grasses, and modern humans were crafting tools from stone. Called 2015 TG387 and nicknamed the Goblin, The world is likely spherical and about as wide as the state of Massachusetts. Oh, I thought this was the object that was the size of Neptune. I stand corrected. And like a handful of other distant solar system inhabitants, its orbital behavior might signal the presence of an unseen planet X lurking in the distant outer dominions of the solar system. Every small object we find is isolated like this, that is isolated like this, will bring us closer to finding the planet, said Scott Shepard. Like Planet X has become like the missing link. Nibiru has become like the missing link. Whenever they find a weird bone or something, it's like, oh, we're one step closer. We're one step closer to finding Planet X. Every small object we find that is isolated like this will bring us closer to finding the planet, says Scott Shepard of the Carnegie Institute for Science, who reported the finding today in a notice distributed by the International Astronomical Union's Minor Planet Center. I'd like to work for the Minor Planet Center. Get a phone call. Hello, Minor Planet Center. How can I help you? Yeah, hi. Have you found any minor planets lately? Well, we're working on it. We think we're close to finding another minor planet. We'll be sure to let you know. All right, I'll call back when I get a chance. Or you never know, if we find more of these, maybe they'll stop pointing toward the planet. Something fishy. As its ungainly name implies, 2015 TG 387 first caught astronomers' attention in 2015. For years, Shepard and his colleagues have been using some of the sharpest telescopes on Earth to peer into the outer solar system and uniformly search the sky for some of the farthest flung worlds still gravitationally tethered to the sun. Doing this type of survey requires a substantial amount of time and patience because merely seeing a small pinprick of light doesn't tell you much. Instead, astronomers must painstakingly track objects like 2015 TG 387 as they inch across a star-drenched background. It took 3 years of observation to actually determine its orbit to a precision we're comfortable with, Shepard says. We found several more objects that are similar distances to this one, but it will take another year or two to look at their orbits and see if they're actually interesting. Right now, 2015 TG 387 is in the northern sky near the constellation Pisces. It's about 80 astronomical units away, meaning it's 80 times further from the sun than Earth, or about twice as far as Pluto is currently moving inward. And at its closest approach, the tiny ice ball will still be 65 astronomical units away. At its most distant point, it'll be nearly 2,300 times that distance. In 1930, Clyde Tombaugh discovered Pluto when he compared this image with Pluto circled with another taken 6 days earlier and noticed the bright speck had moved. In 1994, this was the best view of Pluto and its moon Charon that the world had ever seen, taken by the Hubble Space Telescope's faint object camera. The image showed both objects clearly, but little else. In 1996, the world got its first look at the surface of Pluto through the Hubble Space Telescope, taken with the European Space Agency's faint object camera. The image was 100 pixels across and showed intriguing hits of lighter and darker areas. In 2006, Hubble added 2 small moons to Pluto's lineup, Nix and Hydra. Pluto now has 5 known moons, including its large companion, Charon. And New Horizons has been looking for more. In 2010, an analysis of Hubble images revealed a mottled world of orange, white, and black. The center held a mysterious bright spot, prompting NASA to time New Horizons mission for a better view of the area, now seen as a heart shape. As a heart shape. Pluto looks like a heart. Isn't that cool? The Dark Heart. On April 9th, 2015, the New Horizons spacecraft took this photograph of Pluto and Charon from a distance. So if you're on the website, you can see it. You can see it. Anyway, they're eyeballing a new trans-Plutonian object known just in time for Halloween as the Goblin. Let's check in with the chat room. Let's see what we have. Tex-Mex food in Texas is really good. Yep. Tex was Mex. That's funny. Tex was Mex. It's true. It was. Mining minor planets. I like this plant. ETs. ETs. I like that. It's good. Both hogs standing together. Oh my God, Lynn, that's funny. Lynn is referring to David Hogg and Michael Moore. Michael Moore looking like a big hog, like looking like somebody who's never met a meal that he's ever turned down. You know, Michael Moore is one of these rich socialists. He's worth about $35 million, perhaps even more, pun not intended. Maybe he should start redistributing his wealth. All right, what else we got going on out there? Let's see. Mexico's almost bankrupt. You may want to pay attention to that. And Michael Hoffman brings up some very interesting points. It's the rogues gallery of women that Bill Clinton abused or raped. We have Anita Broderick. We have Paula Jones, Monica Lewinsky, Jennifer Flowers, and what's her name? Oh, Catherine Willey. Those are the 5 that we know of. And Clinton still gets paid to give speeches, even though he has a clear track record. A clear track record of abusing women. And some of whom have actually won suits against him. Jennifer Flowers being one of them. I've told this story before. I went to Jennifer Flowers' nightclub in New Orleans one night. It was quite strange. I was at my favorite restaurant in New Orleans called Irene's. And we were sitting there. Irene's has a bar and a big lounge area with tables, and you can get bar food. And they have a piano in this area. This is where you can go and wait for a table because sometimes it gets quite crowded there. And at that time, the piano player was French Canadian, and we got to kind of know him over the course of the night. And he said, "Hey, do you want to go over to Jennifer Flowers' club after I'm done playing? I play for her and she sings." I'm like, "Okay, sure." So she had bought this nightclub. I don't even know if it's still there. She bought this nightclub with her Clinton money so that she could sing on a nightly basis, I think. So he introduced us to her. Very detached sort of person. Let's put it that way. Maybe it's because she didn't have the time of day for us, or that was her nature. But Michael Hoffman brings up a good point. Bill Clinton has a rogues gallery of women that he's violated. Nobody ever talks about it. This is the one thing that again, it's the left-right paradigm, but it's the one thing that the left doesn't necessarily do a great job of, and that's called self-reflection. It doesn't. You know, we're supposed to self-reflect about how privileged we are and all the other supposed perks and transgressions. And if we don't self-reflect, genuflect, and self-flagellate 3 times a day, we're not doing our job as being guilty as charged. The left doesn't do that at all. Doesn't do it. Doesn't self-reflect. It doesn't look at its own kind of. And I'm not putting myself in the pocket of the right. It's just not something that the left does. I mean, even after losing the election in a big way, was there any self-reflection? Like, maybe we should really rethink this. Maybe we need to move back to the center and try to find the people again that we abandoned. Was there any reflection going on there? No, none. It's like, let's move further left. Let's just keep going further out. Let's start to redefine this new territory and create more polarization. And of course, it's part of the plan. Self-reflection is not part of the deal, because if it was, then they'd be talking about Clinton and say, how could we allow this, as somebody who represents theoretically our party, be an ambassador to our party, and be an ambassador to our party in a way that absolutely desecrates the values we supposedly believe in. All right, so here we go. This is from the FBI now. I'm breaking some news here as the show moves on. Here it comes. Here he comes. Here he is. Say hi. Say hi, Jasper. No hint of misconduct in confidential FBI report on Kavanaugh. Boom. GOP Senate Judiciary Chair. I'll read this. This is from the lead dragon, Chuck Grassley. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley has told NBC News that there is no hint of misconduct in the confidential FBI report. Confidential, which means it ain't going to be released unless somebody leaks it. Report on sexual assault claims against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. When asked whether there was anything in the FBI supplemental background investigation that proves allegations against Kavanaugh, the Republican senator said there is absolutely no corroboration. Earlier on Tuesday, the Wall Street Journal reported that the White House had concluded that the FBI probe found no evidence of sexual misconduct by Kavanaugh. Although Grassley and the Trump administration seemed content with the findings of the investigation, which was completed 2 days ahead of its Friday deadline, Democrats have slammed the probe as incomplete. Responding to criticism from the other side of the aisle, Trump tweeted on Thursday, "This is now the 7th time the FBI has investigated Judge Kavanaugh. If we made it 100, it will still not be good enough for the obstructionist Democrats." And to his credit, Trump is actually right here. He also said that due process, fairness, and common sense are now on trial. And when Trump actually makes common sense, you have to pay attention. This is a very important time in our country. Due process, fairness, and common sense are on trial. Yes. As part of the probe, the FBI interviewed 3 people in connection with allegations made by Christine Blasey Ford, who said in the Senate Judiciary Committee testimony last week that she was 100% certain that Kavanaugh sexually assaulted her in high school, a claim which the Supreme Court nominee adamantly denies. Well, go listen to the John David Oates reverse speech. It might shake things up a little bit for you. I'm just saying. And again, we talked about this yesterday. Could somebody have clear memories of something and be congruent if they had been either altered or put inside some kind of a trauma-triggered trance? The answer to that is yes. Will we know the truth? I would say the answer to that ultimately is no. So there you go. Mr. Kavanaugh has been exonerated by the FBI. So the vote is coming. And get ready for the aftermath of that. If you think that the warpath has been active, the fire ants have been active, get ready. You're going to step it up. This is when we get into that Mars-Venus square, which has been kind of ongoing for the last few weeks now. All right, let me check in with everybody in the chat room as we begin to wind down today's show. Let's just see what we have in there. What's going on? Let's see. Love the morning show. That's great. No, it was 75%, dude. 75%. What is was it 75% dude? 75% dude. Okay. I'm not sure what the 75% is in relation to. We have the exemplary Cory Booker pontificating wherever, whenever possible in the MSM. Well, he's running for president. You can't self-reflect when you're evil. Oh, that's a great point. Can sociopaths self-reflect? That's a really interesting point. Okay. Anyway, so Kavanaugh is going to be moved forward, and it'll be interesting. It'll be very, very interesting to see how this unfolds over the next few weeks. All right. So go out and get yourself a taco today. Go find a really good taco. It is National Taco Day. And you know what's great about tacos? Even if you don't eat meat, they now have vegan and vegetarian tacos, pescatory tacos, you name it. Celebrate the taco. It is one of the great food sources, food stuffs of all time because you get to eat it with your hands. Right, Jasper? You get to eat it with your hands. Jasper loves tacos. Taco Bell. Yeah, baby. Taco Bell. All right, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Friday Farcast. Use your head to discern what's real, your heart to say what's possible. Have a wonderful Taco Thursday. I'm Robert Phoenix, and you're the best. You're the best internet chat audience on the internet, and I mean it. All right, have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.